should be a pretty challenging one. Okay, so that obviously the car can't do that. Behind me is a robo-taxi. All right, a potential robo-taxi that Tesla says eventually one day we'll get a software update and this car will be able to drive itself with no human intervention, no interaction, and that's just software. That's all we need. And as time has gone on and we've got more software updates, I've gotten more used to the fact that maybe that'll happen one day. It's possible, but there's one big thing about these potential robotaxis that a lot of people are concerned about and have been for a long time, and that I agree with, and that is camera placement. Now, right off the top of the head, it's like, okay, come on, Tesla's not gonna make these cars, produce millions of them, revise from hardware 3 to hardware 4, and still not address that and think that, you know, they can't see enough basically to just need a software update for this and the hardware should be all good. Well, Tesla gave us the ability to kind of check them on this not long ago, and that's what we're gonna do in this video today. So you'll see as we look around this car, this is a hardware 3 Model Y, although the main cameras I'm looking at today have not changed between hardware 3 and hardware 4, but if you don't believe me, I will do this video again with hardware 4, just comment below. So, in hardware 3, we have 3 cameras in the front there, which you can't see from all the reflections. Not so concerned about that. The car is very good at seeing out of the front. And then there's these side cameras. These are the ones that are kind of facing forward and off to the side. So as you're making a right or left turn, you can see right and left to make a turn. And some people think these aren't far forward enough because look where this camera is and look how much car is left in front of that camera for you to have to poke all of that out so that this camera can see past especially blind corners. Now, if you're wide open and there's nothing around, no trees, no buildings, sure, you can easily see to the right and left, even with your camera all the way back here. But think about where your head is. When you are driving as a person and you're looking left and right, your head's somewhere around here. And if you come up to a blind intersection where you cannot see left or right, what do? You creep your car out a little bit, which these vehicles do possess the ability to do. They can creep out just a little bit. But on top of that, you lean forward all the way maybe to here. I will sometimes have my head above the steering wheel. I am leaning so far forward to see. Now, that's a big difference. Here, having your head left and right, and this camera all the way back here. In fact, that one little difference alone, if I put this up here, we're looking at, man, about 28 inches of difference from your head being near the steering wheel. If we go over the steering wheel, it's actually closer to like 29 or 30, but that's probably stretching it. So let's say about 28 inches of difference from this camera to where you could be putting your head. So over 2 feet of difference. Now, of course, just to round out the sensor suite, just so you know, in case we're not all caught up, this is your repeater camera. It looks back and to the right or left, which that one does a great job. And then you have your rear cam, which until recently wasn't even really used much in doing any decision making, but now it is used, although it does get dirty all the time. And yes, of course, my car is always dirty, so I did clean off my cameras before I did any of these tests, just to keep everything fair. In fact, I also cleaned the interior of my car using today's video sponsor, Fantech, the new V8 Mate and the V10 Apex. These awesome vacuums can tackle anything inside or outside of your car. The V10 Apex I love because we have kids and they spill fish all in the back of our cars, and we can vacuum those fish directly up. It picks them up no problem, and then that thing is so easy to empty into the garbage. Both vacuums have high performance integrated brushless motors. They both have dual modes, so you can save some power and have the vacuum last longer, or if you need some more power, you just switch over that power mode and you can vacuum up anything you need. They have impressive suction up to 17 kPa, and the V10 Apex has a nice foldable design, so even though it is large and powerful, it does store away easily in your vehicle. You could keep it in the front, you could keep it in your sub trunk, and you can use it whenever you need. Fantech is dedicated to providing high quality compact tools for road trips, outdoor and indoor with exceptional value. I actually have one of their screwdrivers, which I bought before they ever contacted me, and I love that little thing. It works so well. Both vacuums also feature really nice LED displays so you can see how much battery is left on them, and you can see which suction mode you're in. Make sure you check out my link below. Fantech has offered you, my viewers, some special discounts that you can get at the link below. So thank you so much to Fantech for sponsoring this video. So let's get this car on the road. I have a few spots that I know have been trouble in the past for the car, and I even have a few spots where I know it's really hard to see. And I think some people are gonna be like, oh, you're just finding these really hard spots, but these are real roads that I drive on, that the car has to be able to drive on, and I'm sure that people watching have much harder scenarios that they've come across than I may be showing in this video today. But these are just some of the examples, some of the intersections and crossroads that I've thought of where it's hard to see, but it's a real place. It's not like I'm inventing roads to make it impossible for the car. And we will see what these cameras can see, and if we really only need a software update to allow this car to be driving itself all over the place. All right, first up, this is an intersection I have wanted to look at for years. So ever since the first time using FSD beta, coming to this intersection for the first time, the car put on its left turn signal and then said, I can't do this, please help. So I'm gonna put on my hazards here. There should be nobody behind me. I'm gonna stop at the stop sign and we're gonna park right here and check this out. So looking to the right, as you'll be able to see, I don't know how I'm editing this, it's not that hard to see, but there's this sign, and this is already answering questions for me. So there's this sign to the right, which you can see in the pillar cam is slightly blocking our view, and the road curves off to the left, at least from our view, and goes downhill. So it is incredibly hard to see off to the right when you are making this left turn here. Now, you can see down the road, but the problem is, the big problem here, is that vehicles are traveling at about 60 miles an hour on this road, sometimes even faster than that. So this small distance you have from our current position to as far as you can see on that road is not very far when you're making decisions for vehicles that are approaching at about 60 miles an hour. Now, we're currently stopped at the stop sign, and the car does creep up a bit more before it makes its decision, but I can see here how it is difficult to see off to the right. Now, let's look to the left, because that is important as well, and you can see, again, very difficult to see here when we're stopped at the stop sign. There are some big trees in the way. There is a gap in the two trees there, and you can kind of see down the road, but everything at that distance is starting to get very small. And at this position, it's a little too difficult to really see if it's safe to make this turn without creeping up some more. So let's creep up some more and see what we can see. Now, this is about as far up as I would be comfortable pulling up, and look at that. We can see to the right very clearly. Everything is out of the way. It's obvious if there are vehicles over there or not, and it's really good. Now, the problem still comes in that, one, that road bends right there, and it goes downhill. So no matter how good the camera is, no matter where the camera is, you can only see so far down that road. So you have to make a quick decision, when you do pull out on this road, you need to pull out quickly, which the car at this point is still not very good at. It'll kind of pull out a little too slow. It takes forever to get up to the speed limit. That's kind of the weakness there, but this is about the cameras, not about the behavior, because of course that can easily be changed with software. So now let's look to the left and see if we're looking good, and yes, that is much better. So you can see a lot of times the initial stop, we can see why the car is stopping where it is and then very slowly creeping up so that it can actually see what it needs to see. But what this is telling me, so when I am sitting here looking off to the left, I can very clearly see down that road. There is a pine tree there that's like almost kind of blocking the road. But despite that pine tree, I feel very comfortable that I can see plenty of distance off to the left, that I can make this decision. And you know what? I think, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing on this camera feed, it actually looks the same to me here as well, in that the car can see plenty of distance down that road, whereas in the past, again, the car would always ask for help at this specific intersection. And then the final thing I want to look at here, which you are seeing, and I cannot see till I do it in editing, if it works the way I'm hoping, is the 360 view. I'm going to try to stitch everything together so we can see 100% of what the vehicle is seeing with the cameras around it, and compare that to the 360 camera I have on the roof of the car. But I have no doubt the car can see in 360 degrees everything around the car. It was more about the turns, if the B-pillar cameras were far up enough, and so far what I'm seeing, they look really good. All right, so let's try this one. It's a smaller street. I should hopefully have a little more time to play around here. So we're stopped at the stop line. Here is the left side. So you can see pretty far. That should be plenty of information, even at the stop line, to be able to make this turn. If we look out the right, which if we're making a right turn doesn't really matter, but if we're making a left turn, easy. I mean, you can easily see both directions here. All right, so I found this really small one-way street. I'm gonna stop at the stop sign, which is where FSD beta would stop, and legally would be a legal stop, although some places say if there's no stop line painted, you can go up to the curb and that counts as your stop line. But beta for now stops at the stop sign. So here's our view stopped at the stop sign. We can see to the left, very obvious, there's a pedestrian walking. That's something the car can very obviously see. And you can see down the road a decent ways, actually all the way to, there's an intersection over to the left. The car can see all the way to that intersection. And yes, there are some brush and trees and stuff in the way. But the good news about that is the car doesn't seem to be bothered by those things. It seems to be able to pick up any time that vehicles are driving over there, even with brush and stuff in the way. So let me put into drive, which, well, let's look to the right first before I do that. So if we look to the right, if we're turning left, this will matter more, but very clear and open view to the right, even though there's a house there. So no problem with that. If I put this into drive and we look at our visual and take it over here, so there's a pedestrian there that I didn't even see. And you can see the car is seeing all the way to that intersection over there. There's a car stopped at the light over there, which I think that's a new traffic light actually. And now they're gone, but it was just showing that car all the way stopped at that light at the intersection. So at least in this example, this one intersection we see here, so here's that car approaching, the car is seeing plenty far, even on these right or left turns where we're really far back. Now, let me scoot up here after these pedestrians and see what it would be seeing when you're at the actually appropriate place to stop and look before you continue. All right, so this is the positioning I and the car would use when you're turning right. We're right at the curb here, and obviously, I mean, you can very easily see to the left. The car sees the street, no problem. Any vehicles or pedestrians that are going by will be seen. And if we look out the right door, again, I mean, that was already clear. It's even better now. So really good. I mean, you can even see the cup blowing around there. If something as small as a cup was in the road, the car has the capability to pick it up. All right, so here we're at a pretty typical intersection. I wouldn't call this difficult to see, although there are a lot of things on both the left and right. We have a lot of trees to the right, but still looking through this pillar preview, pretty obvious where the road is and where the cars are. And then looking to the right, did I say looking to the right? I meant looking to the left. And then looking to the right, oops, that's the fender, so looking backwards. If we look at the pillar cam, again, from what I see, there's actually a fence that isn't even really showing up on this preview, so that's kind of interesting, and a big tree, but you can still see enough of the road. The car really shouldn't have a problem seeing in this intersection as well. I'm a bit past the stop line. I just tried to get out of the way of a parked car there. But in the normal intersections, this setup looks perfectly fine. This is one I wanted to look at really quickly because stopping at the stop sign, looking out of my left window, it's kind of interesting because I can obviously see the road. A car just turned left over there and I cannot see them at all right now. And now I can see them again because there's a house to the left with a white fence that blocks, it looks like some of the road. But looking through the pillar cam, like it sees pretty much the whole road. And it's so weird because it is behind my head. I mean, as I showed earlier, my head is well in front of where that camera is, but the positioning of the camera is really good. And I know a lot of people in the comments are like, oh my gosh, this intersection is so easy, blah, blah, blah. But it's just a normal intersection. That's kind of the point, is in these cases, the camera's looking good, even though before I saw this preview, I would have thought, I wonder if that white fence is in the way. And the fact is, it's just not. So in a large, not quite standard intersection, here's what we can see with the main cam. The wide cam, so we can see a lot of that intersection, but to the right is a little bit blocked. And if we switch to the right door pillar, all of that will fill in and everything we were missing, all that information is there. If we go to the left door pillar, there you go. So everything here, this entire intersection is very easily covered. Now that a car is pulling up next to us, there we go. So that does block some of our view. So we cannot see any of the cars coming from the left. Now we're at a stoplight, so you don't really need to be able to see over there. Once it's green, you can at least cautiously proceed. But there is an example of a car blocking us. If we go back to the wide, can we see? So yeah, that Jeep is pretty much blocking all of the road to the left for us. So interesting to see that, but putting a camera higher up or farther up or in the headlight or something wouldn't help at all. It would still be blocked by that Jeep over there. That's just part of driving. Sometimes parts of your roads are occluded. So far what I'm seeing, I'm actually pretty impressed by the view that the car has of the roads. All right, having this friggin' camera up there. So weird. Should be a pretty challenging one. I have some other ones I've already recorded that I will go over. Oh my gosh, the thing is wobbly up there. So it's gonna be hard because I have to put the car in park to get the footage on the screen, on the display. And the main reason that I'm using this vehicle is so I can record the display. See, if somebody comes up behind me, then I'm screwed. But here we go. Okay, nice. We look good. And I'm gonna stop right at this stop sign, go into park. I got nobody behind me. And now someone's behind me, but that's what we can see right there. Okay, so then obviously the car can't do that. Let me try to approach this one again. Okay, so I've scooched up a little more this time. This is where I can see to the left. I can easily see to the left if it's clear or not. There's a little bit of brush and trees and stuff in the way, but let's see what the door cam sees. So it can actually see pretty similar to what I'm seeing here. If you look there, you can see a car approaching, but there's a lot of trees, a lamppost, and some other signs and stuff in the way. But from here, if I move my head above the steering wheel, it makes it clear. So now there's a car coming. Let me try to circle around one more time. All right, so now I've stopped in a spot. For me, it's very clear and very obvious. I can see to the left, no problem, that there's nobody there. And let's get this camera up. And the pillar cam can see down there a little bit, but it's not as clear as my view. Some of these things are kind of in the way. Like the light posts and stuff, but it's really not that bad. It's actually a lot better than I would have thought at this point.